There is a difference between households and household homeownership. Let's talk about it on Today in Mortgage. Hey, what's going on, Dreammakers? Welcome back to the show. We're talking about what's real, what's hype, and what you should actually be paying attention to out there in the world of mortgage and real estate news. It's Today in Mortgage. Rich, today we have a really interesting article. We're going to jump right into it. It's from Housing Wire. The title says, "Is this the best evidence for a home ownership crisis?" And it's super interesting read because if you look at the data in it, something that we haven't really looked at together here, and that is the gap between home ownership and households. And that can be a little confusing. So, Rich, tell us what the difference is between these two.
Most measures that we see in reporting are household homeownership, right?
Mm.
A household is two or more people related by birth, marriage, or adoption.
Okay.
So when you change it up, the numbers are completely different.
Yeah, and so just to clarify, we have this chart. We'll throw it up on the screen here. If you're not watching, you can find it in our show notes. But basically, we're looking at this idea that overall home ownership has dropped while household owned home ownership has remained the same. And just to clarify what that means is that we're not really counting individuals as a household, even if they own the home, because they haven't formed kind of a family unit or something akin to that. That's kind of what we're looking at here, Rich, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
household home ownership is kind of been consistent, as you can see in this chart, but overall total people owning homes has had this like steep decline since 2005, which, is even before the financial crisis. So it's been something that's been happening for a while. Any cues as to why this is happening, Rich?
Well, like a lot of reasons. One, going in, you think about 2005 where the decline started to happen. Home prices were again high, right? It was right before the bubble. Anybody could qualify. You had an affordability issue there. Then after the financial crisis, a lot of these kids that are now 24 to 35 years old, they saw their parents lose their homes for whatever reason. Many of them, like there was a lot of, tragic financial, torture that happened during that Great Recession for a lot of families. So, they're just holding off longer. They're just not buying because one, there are not enough properties available. It's not very affordable. The carrying student loan debt. They're not quite figured out where they want to be, right? Maybe they want to be in the South. Maybe they want to be in the Pacific Northwest. They haven't really decided because a job hasn't taken them there. The kids today want the flexibility, especially working from home, to choose wherever they want to live. So there's just a lot of things in the air for younger home buyers, but I think affordability changes that. Once it becomes more affordable, Michael, rates come down, home prices kind of level out. I think we see that those trends change.
Yeah, and it does seem like at the end of this chart to be ticking back up over the last couple of years. And so I guess that's a good sign. Rich, one of the problems it cites here is the idea that because people are delaying, because they're not buying homes earlier, they're delaying starting households, building families, getting married, and also building wealth. And so one of the things that we always talk about here is homeownership as a vehicle to building wealth. So what are some of the other kind of general takeaways from this article, Rich, that you see?
At my age, I'm 52. When I was 22, I was a homeowner. But that's just because I wanted to be a homeowner. It's not as attainable today as it was when I was 22. So it costs a lot more. One individual earner can't do it at 22 today. They have to have two. You have to have a household that are both working to be able to afford a home today.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, Rich. I think once people do form those households, they're much more likely to take that plunge into home ownership. And maybe that's why we've seen kind of a more consistent line in that first side of that graph. So, Rich, before we close out, anything else that you want to say on this?
Yeah, it just goes back to many other podcasts that we've done, and we've talked about so many younger potential home buyers that are out there today. If just affordability was better and rates were a little bit lower, it's just going to increase in demand. So this just shows it in another way, in new data.
So, Rich, thank you so much for making us smart on this and all the other topics you bring to us. If you guys out there are interested in learning more about the best network in mortgage, where Rich and other leaders are pouring into our people every day to train them up, to help them be their best, click on the Grow link below. We'll get you all the information you need to know about us. Thanks, everyone out there, for watching, listening, and we will see you next time on Today in Mortgages. Mortgages is produced by Network Funding LP, which is an equal housing lender, NMLS 2297. The content of this program is meant to be a commentary on mortgage and real estate news, and any discussion of rates and/or products should not be taken as an individual mortgage or home buying advice or pricing estimates. And any commentary on this show should not be considered a promise to make a loan. All applicants for a loan must qualify, and you should consult a professional regarding your individual loan scenarios for your financial situation. Visit our website at nflp.com/licenses for all state licensing and other legal information.